Thanks, Carol, and thank you, John, for your wonderful introduction. It's always interesting to look into the bright lights and almost see who's out here. So at least half of what I was going to say I just said, because I think what's moving forward is happening, and our next steps about how we come together is happening, and part of our job is to share with you what we know, and part of your job is to share with us what you know and what you're finding out, because I think we're in something new together. We know we can't keep moving back and forth between left being in charge and right being in charge, and then one undoing the other, and the other undoing what the other undid. It doesn't work. And so my passion about us moving forward is actually a new constituency, a transpartisan constituencies of citizens across the divides, not a third party. We're transpartisan Democrats, transpartisan Republicans, transpartisan independents, or even transpartisan non-voters, who really want to work together to see ourselves and our leaders solve problems. And the appreciative inquiry I think we're engaged in is, how do we do this? That's another one of my questions. I had a better idea before Tuesday, but that's my passion and my koan and what I'm sitting with on a daily basis. So actually, I just want to take a moment of silence for us to sit with where we are right now, and the fact that this Citizen Summit, which is something Mark and I and others have dreamed about for 2 years, has happened today because of you all here, and to express our admiration, our gratitude, and a celebration of what's happening, and just to take it in and feel it and be with it in quiet for a moment. An old Zen teacher of mine once said, when it comes out of silence and you do it naturally, that is true activity. And I think that's what we've seen today. So once again, such gratitude to all of you, to all of us.
Great to be with all of you, and I do want to say a closing word about what I think is possible. I started by saying that the question in my heart was, how do we love America? And I remember back as an elementary school student in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the 1950s, one of the most conservative places at one of the most conservative times. It makes modern-day conservatism look liberal by comparison. We said, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America. That's how it started. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and I think that was intended to be an act of love. Wasn't that what we were expressing? Not just loyalty, but I think we were expressing love. But again, this entire generation that was saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America just gave us the 2016 election. So I want to share with you some reflections on what I've learned about love, because I don't know about you, but I've had to learn about love when it comes to loving my wife. I've had to learn about love when it comes to loving my kids. It's not surprising that I've had to learn about what it means to love my country. And I want to share with you 3 things that I've learned from my friends and colleagues who are doing this work about what love means. And the first thing that I think it means from my point of view is, if you're loving, you're learning. If you're really loving someone or something, you have to learn. If I loved my wife today the same way I loved her the day we got married, I wouldn't be loving her very well, because I've had to learn after year, what does it mean to love her? So it's not surprising that learning, from my point of view, is part of loving. And for me, that means today, if I want to really learn about America, I'd better talk to the 60 million people who voted for a candidate that I thought shouldn't be president. I'd better talk to them. I'd better sit down with them. I'd better go a little deeper than I have to really learn who they are and to really find a way to love them. Not judge them, not put them in a basket of deplorables, but to love them. Isn't that part of the mandate? And if I were, I've also got to learn to love some other people. But the key thing for me is learning. If I'm not learning, I don't feel like I'm really doing justice. And I think many of the organizations that have just been honored tonight, as well as No Labels, it's all about learning. You can't just go out with your red or blue solution and argue it. You actually have to go out and learn. And that's something that our politicians don't model. Did you hear ever in this election from any candidate say, I learned so much from that debate. I learned so much from listening to so-and-so. No, they don't learn anything, because learning is seen as a sign of weakness. So you just spout your little tried and true liberal or conservative comments and call that, leadership. Well, I look forward to seeing a leader who learns. So that's the first thing I've learned about love. It's about learning. The second thing I've learned, and it's also present in all the groups that we've just heard, and it's been present in the day that we've been privileged to share here. The other word about loving is relationship. Think about it. What does love mean without relationship? Even loving yourself is about relationship to oneself. And if you think about it, we've just been through a year, actually 18 months, that was all about victory. It was all about victory. It was all about winning. It was all about who's going to control the House, who's going to control the Senate, who's going to control the White House. Was there even a word about relationship? Well, starting on Wednesday, we woke up to the truth, which is that it's about relationship. If Hillary had won, it would be about her relationship to the Republicans. Now that Trump has won, it's about his relationship to the Democrats. Because if that relationship is bad, there'll be stalemate, acrimony, and a continuing careening from left to right. So relationship is at the heart. Ambassador Hal Saunders, who worked at the State Department for many years, wrote a book called Politics is About Relationships. When you heard Ralph being honored, a lot of that's about relationship. When you listen to Ben talk about the way he serves his mayor, it's about relationship. So that's the second thing I've learned. Yes, it's about winning, but it's also about relationship. And when Martin Luther King was in the Birmingham jail, there he was, and what did he write? He said, our struggle is not about victory. It's about reconciliation. It's not about winning. It's about relationship. If he can see that after being thrown in jail by a racist police force, can't we find that as Americans in 2016? So learning and relationship. And the third thing I've learned about loving our country, which has also been present in every comment you've heard today, is problem solving. If you love someone and you're in a relationship and something comes up, what's the natural thing you want to do? Well, whatever relationship, and you noticed, if you just take a position and argue your position, and it's about position taking, that's not going to get you very far. We have to actually go from position taking to problem solving and actually say, I care about making this world or making this country better because we were together, because of our love and because of our relationship, we made this better. And I think whether we're talking about safe schools or internet privacy or outsourcing jobs to China or how to fix the economy or immigration or you name it, we have to be problem solvers, not position takers. And that grows out, for me, of love and relationship. So when I tried to distill what this movement to reunite America is about, those were the three principles that I found. And I think they're the key to governance. They're the key to ending this endless campaign. And I mean endless campaign. I don't mean it ended on November 9th. The scholars who've really studied this say we've entered a world, America now, that's in an endless campaign. It never switches from campaigning to governance. It's now time to switch from campaigning to governance, and we need to do that by learning, relationship, and problem solving. That's the challenge we face. So for me, I think I'm going to say I pledge allegiance, and I don't say this just because it's the title of my book. It's my own personal commitment to myself. I pledge allegiance to the reunited States of America, one nation indivisible. And we have to reunite this country. It's not a passive thing where we go to school and say, I pledge allegiance, now go play football. No, we've got to actually reunite it. We have to reunite it. And that's what Jefferson wanted. Jefferson said, every generation, and for that he meant 19 years, by the way, every generation has to reinvent democracy. So we're a few years overdue. So I ask you to join all of us and join the Utah Citizen Summit team and pledge allegiance to the United States of America. And let's make Utah, I guess my closing vision for you all would be, I'll join Carol in seeing her headline and say, I'd love to see Utah actually send a message to the rest of the country that says we love our state, we're going to get along with each other, we're going to be red and blue and libertarian and green, but we're going to take care of each other, we're going to take care of our state, and we're not letting you come in here every 2 to 4 years and divide us and turn us against each other. We're going to make Utah great. We're going to be stronger together. Thank you.